Welcome to the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. We discuss 5 questions in about 10 minutes because leaders know how to be concise. And I am very grateful and very excited to have as my guest today, Leta Greene, and she is Hotness. That's how we're introducing her. She is Hotness. Leta, what would you like to tell the audience about what that means?
Well, hotness is not just about how incredibly good looking I am, but it references the spark that we all have. Do we burn others or do we enlighten them? So I could go all deep and gooey into that, but if people want to call me hotness, who am I to say no?
I love it. Great. Thank you very much. All right. Well, let's jump to the questions. Our first question, share with the audience an example or a situation that you've experienced with successful collaboration within a team.
Well, one of the things that I think is the most important is stated goals. So if your team is, in my case where I've led makeup teams, I work with a nonprofit, or a marriage or a family, is that you have a stated goal and where you're going. Because if you're all working and you're not working towards a direction, then it's really easy to lose sight of what are we doing here. Because real success, there's a lot of gritty work that has to happen. We always, of course, just focus on the shiny thing, but really it takes a lot of work. And, in my marriage, in my family, in my businesses, that we know where we're going. That could be a mission statement. That can be an ultimate goal of, trying to get to heaven together as a family, whatever it is, that you have that stated and it's talked about often.
That's a great comment about setting goals and making sure that collaboration is all focused in one direction. Great comment. Question number 2, I hear from other leaders that it can be a challenge to measure engagement. Tell us your thoughts.
I really believe in the 80-20 rule, that, there's 80% that might not be engaged or 20% that are. And so if you're looking at your numbers, and I feel like if you're not getting engagement from 80% of your people, so I'm in the direct selling space or volunteer space. So I don't have an HR department. It's my job to go find people that want to do the work. And by just showing, hey, this is how we're going to do it and get the reward to be that service volunteerism or that financial reward. It's 20 or 80% is really what I've seen. And that's okay. And it's my job because I don't have an HR department to go find the people that want to do the work or volunteer.
Depending on your situation.
Right.
That's great. I like that. Question number 3. Is there, based on your experience, is there a single attribute that you have found in a confident leader?
Absolutely. Humility. So I've actually written a book on confidence, and we don't wake up one day and just, we're a confident person. It's not an arrival. It's like happiness. It's a muscle you have to work on. You've got to mentally put yourself together every day and do the things that make you respect you. And that takes a certain amount of humility to either engage with other people and say this, which goes back to accountability. This is what I did right. This is what I did wrong. Give me feedback. And to be willing to implement where you can improve.
Great comment. I love it. Question number 4, is there a person or maybe a situation that has made an impact in your life that you'd like to share?
Absolutely. Thank you for asking this. One of the biggest impacts in my life was my neighbor. She hired me to be her mommy's helper when I was 8 years old.
Oh, wow.
And she was a leader of a home of 6 children. And her husband was a successful accountant and later actually worked with the software that became Ancestry.com. But I got to see up close how their lives worked, from a spiritual standpoint to the physical, to how their marriage worked, to how they talked about money. And there are so many things, including the kind of man that I chose to marry, that I can trace back to someone choosing to make an extra effort when they were already busy to be kind to a child.
Wow. That's a great story. Thank you for sharing that, because that's one of my favorite questions, of course, because we get to hear some really inspiring stories about how people help each other in any setting. So that is great. Well, it probably helps to answer the last question that we talk about, which is your first job. Anything you'd like to add about your first job? That sounds like that was the experience for you.
Actually, my first job was hauling tools underneath mobile homes. I got paid $5 a day or food. And that was with my dad's trucking business, that he was the main driver. My mom was the other. So I was already a seasoned manual laborer by the time I was 8 years old.
It sounds like it. That is impressive. I think that you might set the record here for all the guests that I've had for the youngest first job. So that's
Well,
good
a
work.
funny thing was I remember sitting in the kitchen sink with my feet in the sink doing dishes that were 4 times the size of my head. It wasn't until years later that I realized that's gross to do dishes with your feet in the dishwater. But I guess that's what happens when you leave a 2.5 to 3-year-old unsupervised.
Well, we learn as we go, right?
Right, exactly.
Oh, that's awesome. Leta, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. How can people find you?
So if you know how to spell my name, which is Leta, and then Greene, like the color with an E on the end, so Leta Greene. I have a website. I'm on social media. I'm mostly on Facebook because I'm old, right? 47, and of course Instagram and things. But I don't tweet.
Okay, very good.
So yeah.
Thank you. This is Sean Richards with the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. For more ideas, go to teamengagementpodcast.com. Again, that's teamengagementpodcast.com. And we encourage you and invite you to subscribe to the podcast as well as to our YouTube channel. Thanks so much for joining us today and have a great day.